the Igigi, the enigmatic deities that rebelled against the Anunnaki that came from the stars. In the Chaldean mythology, the Igigi or Igugu were minor gods in the literature of ancient Mesopotamia. This word was used to designate the supreme council of the gods of the celestial areas in their place. The Igigi worked for the Anunnaki. They dug ditches and drained canals, and one day, tired, they revealed themselves as told by the legends of the epic poems of Enuma Elish and Atrahasis, the Igigi Anunnaki. The Semitic term Igigi or Igugu refers to a group of gods of the Mesopotamian pantheon, while the meaning of Anuna remains difficult and controversial interpretation. The word Igigi needs more studies to be understood. On the other hand, it is not entirely clear what distinguishes Anuna from Igigi. As reported on the Aurak, the open, richly annotated cuneiform corpus, Aurak for short, on these pages, the term appears in the poem of Atrahasis, hero in the Babylonian version of the Epic of Gilgamesh, the story behind the Great Flood. The text dates from the 7th century BC and is engraved on tablets preserved in the British Museum in London. The finding provides some evidence about the relationship between the Anunnaki and the Igigi. The text consists of 3 tablets, each of which is developed in 8 columns, 4 in the front and 4 in the back. Each column consists of about 55 lines. All the work, therefore, consists of a total of 1,245 lines, only some of which have reached us. The poem of Atrahasis begins with the condition that emerged after the cosmogony. The god of heaven, Anu, is promoted to heaven. Ea, or Enki, fell into the Abzu, the underworld of the abyssal waters above which the earth rests. Enlil took the land to himself with all living beings in it. The Igigi gods were instead forced to work on the land, an area where the god Enlil reigns. The Igigi excavated rivers, including the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, and canals. The heavy work of the Igigi gods day and night lasted 2,500 years. Thus, from line 39 of tablet 1 of the poem, these gods begin to reflect until one of them encouraged them to leave work and rebel. The Igigi listened to his companion and threw the tools of work into the fire, and they marched together. They went towards the sanctuary of Enlil. It reads in the poem, quote, "When gods similar to men endured work and suffered the hard effort, the eagerness of the gods was great, the work was heavy, the fatigue was much. The great Anunnaki, the 7, they had imposed fatigue for the Igigi," end quote. The following lines are partially damaged, but they seem to indicate that the Igigi did not want more fatigued partners, forcing the Anunnaki to find a permanent solution. Here then is where the Anunnaki created the humans, who from then on had to endure the work of the gods, the Igigi. Enlil sobs and meditates, leaving the earth and going to heaven with Anu, returning to him the divine powers on earth. Anu responds that he understands well the reasons of the Igigi, too great is his labor, then suggests creating man, Lulu, then summons the goddess Mamu, or Mami, ancestor of mother, the mother goddess, to be part of this creation, and communicates her decision to the Igigi, who, feeling relieved of their exhaustive work, rejoiced. And then Mamu prepares the work of creation. For this reason, the Igigi gods decide to indicate Mamu as the lady of all gods. Kala belet ili, and Mamu mixes the clay, then summons the Anunnaki and the Igigi to spit on the dough. Man is ready to be, and will be assigned the task that was once for the gods Igigi, the heavy work of the earth. So, what do you think of these legends of Sumeria? According to the Igigi, Igigi are the mythological figures of heaven in the mythology of Mesopotamia. Though sometimes synonymous with the term Anunnaki, In one myth, the Igigi were the younger beings who were servants of the Anunnaki until they rebelled and were replaced by the creation of humans. In etymology, the name has unknown origin. It was originally spelled Igigi, but was also written as Igigi. This letter may have been a play on words, as in Sumerian, the combination can be interpreted as numerals adding to 7, the number of great gods, or multiplying to 600, which some tradition was the total number of gods. Atrahasis, Akkadian paradise, is described as a garden in the myth of Atrahasis, where lower-ranked deities, the Igigi, are put to work digging a watercourse by the more senior deities, the Anunnaki. And the text said, when the gods, man-like, bore the labor, carried the load, the gods' load was great, the toil grievous, the trouble excessive, the great Anunnaki, the 7, were making the Igigi undertake the toil. The Igigi then rebelled against the dictatorship of Enlil, setting fire to their tools and surrounding Enlil's great house by night. On hearing that toil on the irrigation channel is the reason for the disquiet, the Anunnaki Council decided to create man to carry out agricultural labor. And Enlil, the ancient Mesopotamian god associated with wind, air, earth, and storms, the first attested as the chief deity of the Sumerian pantheon, but he was later worshipped by the Akkadians, Babylonians, Assyrians, and Hurrians. Enlil's primary center of worship was Enkur Temple, the city of Nippur, which was believed to have been built by Enlil himself and was regarded as the mooring rope of heaven and earth. He's also sometimes referred to in Sumerian texts as Nu-Na-Mnir. According to one Sumerian hymn, Enlil himself was so holy that not even the other gods could look upon him. Enlil rose to prominence during the 24th century BC with the rise of Nippur. His cult fell into decline after Nippur was sacked by the Elamites in 1230 BC, and he was eventually supplanted as the chief god of the Mesopotamian pantheon by the Babylonian national god Marduk. Enlil plays a vital role in the Sumerian creation myth. He separates An, that is heaven, from Ki, earth, thus making the world habitable for humans. In the Sumerian flood myth, Enlil rewards Ziusudra with immortality for having survived the flood. And in the Babylonian flood myth, Enlil is the cause of the flood himself, having sent the flood to exterminate the human race, who made too much noise and prevented him from sleeping. The myth of Enlil and Ninlil is about Enlil's serial seduction of the goddess Ninlil in various guises. In other words, he was a shapeshifter, resulting in the conception of the moon god Nana and the underworld deities Nergal, Ninazu, and Enbilulu. Enlil was regarded as the inventor of the mattock and the patron of agriculture. He was also featured prominently in several myths involving his son Ninurta, including Anzu and the Tablet of Destinies, the Lugal, according to Wikipedia. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box